Women have an organ that men don't have. It sits right above their heart and under their skin, and it's called their feelings. Men have no idea how sensitive women are, especially to their man. Their emotion antennas are up all the time, detecting the slightest change in his mood, his behavior, his overall happiness. In fact, most wives truly want to please their husbands, and a man has the ability to elevate or deflate his entire household, including his children. Alison Armstrong is credited here for making this important distinction. She notes how often men are completely unaware that they've offended their spouse by a word or deed. It's not until their wife is giving them the silent treatment or cold shoulder that they have a clue that something's amiss. How often have you seen or heard a wife respond to a husband's question of, "What did I do wrong?" with a curt response from her of, "If you don't know, I'm surely not going to tell you." So there's two parts to this equation. The first is that a husband needs to realize that their lady is much more sensitive than they are. A man would do well to not talk to his wife like he does his boss or his buddy with blunt, abrupt, or rough responses. Additionally, any comment that makes her feel mean, criticized, embarrassed, shamed, or the brunt of a joke will only open one door for you, and that is to the proverbial doghouse. This is because while it may have little effect on you, it was an emotional snowball for her. And nothing, I mean nothing, will fix this offense better than a husband that recognizes their woman is hurt and genuinely says, "I'm sorry I hurt your feelings." I'll emphasize this again. Say this, exactly this, "I'm sorry I hurt your feelings," and you will have your get out of jail pass for this offense. Just don't be a repeat offender. But just as important as husbands recognizing the sensitivity of their wives, it's equally important for women to understand that most of the time, men don't mean to hurt our feelings. Remember, men are not misbehaving, hairy women. They're men being men, processing and communicating the way men do. Recently, I was contemplating a familiar verse of scripture, one that all Christians have heard, and a biblical concept spoken by Jesus in Luke 6:31 and Matthew 7:12. So, in everything, do to others what you have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. For years, I processed the meaning of this scripture as treat the others the way I want to be treated. That is with kindness, fairness, love, and respect. But I believe there is a much broader undertone to this passage. That is, treat others as you would want to be treated if you were in their shoes. I think all of us can attest how much we appreciate to be appreciated, respected, spoken to with honesty and openness, treated with kindness, etc., etc. How many marriage problems could be easily avoided if husbands and wives would approach their mate with the basic tenets of creating and maintaining a great relationship? It reminds me of a Taekwondo competition I watched decades ago. A friend of mine who was then a blue belt wanted to participate in a black belt competition. There was over a dozen competitors, all black belts except my friend. He convinced the owner of our dojo to loan him his black belt. He didn't know any advanced moves, as most blue belts don't, but he had mastered basic kicks, blocks, and punches. Many from our studio went to the competition to watch, most with the expectation that he was going to get his tail kicked, and bad. But one by one, as each spar ensued, he won the match until he was the last man standing. He, in fact, not only did he place in the competition, he won. This was my first lesson in understanding that if you master the basics of anything, you'll do better than most. Master the basics of communicating thoughtfully with your wife, and you will experience a better marriage than most people do. Approach her from a spirit of love and kindness, and you will save yourself the heartache of hurting her feelings and the repercussions that often follow.